A video clip lasting over 1 minute, leaked from the passenger cabin of an Air India flight, is now sending shockwaves throughout the global aviation industry. The horrifying and haunting footage captured on board has left the entire world holding its breath in suspense. This is not just a simple video. It is the latest piece of evidence, a crucial missing puzzle piece in the ongoing investigation surrounding the recent aviation tragedy. Every sign, every detail, every clue, all are now pointing to two central names: Boeing and Air India. What truth is still being hidden? Watch the video to uncover the latest evidence connected to the catastrophic crash of the Air India flight. A breathtaking investigation, clues gradually coming to light. Immediately following the devastating crash of Flight AI-171 in Ahmedabad, an international investigative task force was urgently mobilized. The Directorate General of Civil Aviation of India, in coordination with the NTSB, United States, ESA, Europe, and engineers from Boeing itself, swiftly entered a race against time to uncover the truth. In less than 48 hours after the incident, both black boxes were recovered from the wreckage and immediately sent to New Delhi and Washington for data decoding. The investigation is still ongoing. While authorities continue to be engulfed in a flood of complex technical data that has yet to be fully deciphered, a surprising new piece of evidence has emerged, a detail that could potentially expose the true cause behind the AI-171 disaster. Cockpit trail, minor glitch, or a series of ignored warnings? Immediately after the video went viral, aviation data analysts began digging into the technical history of the aircraft bearing registration number VTAB. What they uncovered forced the investigation team to pause repeatedly for cross-verification. Internal maintenance logs revealed that in the 45 days leading up to the crash, crew members on at least 3 separate flights had reported issues such as cabin air conditioning failure, flickering ceiling lights, and non-responsive call buttons for flight attendants. Each time, the reports were marked as non-critical. Each time, after landing, engineers would perform a basic inspection, reset the system, and allow the aircraft to return to service. No components were replaced. No requests were made for independent rechecks. Worse still, in an internal email between maintenance technicians leaked to the press just 2 days after the crash, a chilling line was found. VTAB continues to report intermittent cabin power loss, but no hard failure has occurred, no immediate action required. The phrase, "no hard failure," was interpreted by investigators to mean that there had been no incident severe enough to force a diversion or emergency landing. And because no lives had been lost yet, the warnings were pushed down the line to subsequent maintenance shifts. Seat 25A, the silent witness of a dangerous culture. From Akash Vatsa's point of view, he was just an upset passenger using his phone camera to document something unusual. But in the eyes of investigators, that footage is evidence. It not only captured the physical condition inside the cabin, it also revealed a spreading sense of anxiety among passengers. A palpable air of unease blanketed the entire aircraft cabin. The question now is, how many other Boeing 787-8s are flying with similar minor issues still unresolved? How many other passenger warnings have been dismissed as overly sensitive, exaggerated, or simply ignored? And had the tragic crash in Ahmedabad never occurred, would Akash Vatsa's video ever have been taken seriously? At this moment, complaints once brushed off have become data. Warnings once seen as mere nuisances are now pieces of crucial evidence. And Seat 25A, once seemingly ordinary, has become the most valuable vantage point in this entire investigation. When procedures become an excuse, in an official statement, an Air India spokesperson said, "We strictly follow technical guidance from Boeing and the civil aviation authorities. All issues are handled according to procedure." Yet that very procedure, when scrutinized more closely, revealed terrifying gaps. There is no limit to how many times a minor error is allowed to recur. There are no specific obligations to conduct deeper inspections when passengers raise concerns. And there is absolutely no rule mandating part replacement if the electrical system only flickers occasionally. In such an environment, any warning sign can easily be legitimized into a number on a form. And when those signs accumulate, repeat, and recur on the same aircraft, like a blaring alarm sounded over and over again, yet no one listens, tragedy becomes only a matter of time. The black curtain, behind the scenes, when witnesses begin to speak. Shortly after the three main hypotheses were released, a number of former engineers and employees from both Boeing and Air India began proactively reaching out to the investigative team, either anonymously or publicly, to share what they had witnessed. One member of Boeing's technical team, who was previously responsible for verifying the flight control software for the 787 series, provided internal emails revealing that since 2022, 5 separate testing groups had detected delayed feedback issues in the stability control system, particularly when the aircraft underwent sudden altitude changes. According to this whistleblower, the report was pushed to the bottom of the priority list. Meanwhile, a senior maintenance supervisor at Air India, who resigned earlier this year, disclosed that VTAB had been placed on a special watch list due to repeated cabin and electrical system errors in the 3 months leading up to the crash. But when the high-traffic flight season arrived, all repairs were postponed to keep operations running. At this point, the term accident no longer feels adequate to describe what occurred, because an accident implies an unexpected misfortune. But here, what unfolded was a series of missed opportunities to prevent disaster, a chain of systematic failures, a silence that lasted too long until it became complicity. A damning record when the past refuses to stay buried. Boeing, the emblem of American aviation, had already collapsed once under the weight of the 737 MAX disasters, which claimed over 300 lives in less than 5 months. At the time, the world believed the lesson was clear. Yet, today, the shadow of the MAX still lingers over the wreckage of Dreamliner VTAB, raising the chilling question: has Boeing truly changed or merely learned to cover its tracks more skillfully? As for Air India, with its long history of operational issues, it is hardly blameless. Between 2018 and 2023, the airline faced numerous criticisms in Indian media for technical incidents involving aging aircraft, fuel leaks, wingtip collisions, and even pilots falling asleep during duty. Most of these were handled internally, with brief reports and not a single case where full data was disclosed to the public. What do these two names have in common? An excessive confidence in their processes and brands, the very things that once kept them afloat for decades. But in aviation, where even a small error can claim hundreds of lives, such confidence is a double-edged sword. Once it turns into complacency, it is no longer a strength. It becomes the seed of catastrophe. The AI-171 disaster was not the result of a single moment of failure. It was the inevitable outcome of an operational system built by people willing to gamble with passenger lives just to keep flights on schedule and protect profits. And now, with the curtain finally pulled back, the global public is not only asking why this happened, but who will be held accountable? Who will answer to justice? And more importantly, who will stop this from ever happening again? The court of public opinion. When the truth is buried beneath the wreckage. Given the scandal-ridden histories of both Boeing and Air India, the AI-171 disaster is no longer viewed as a mere isolated plane crash. It has become a warning bell for an aviation ecosystem rotting from within, where promises of absolute safety are used to mask systemic negligence, where every technical fault is downplayed as a minor issue, and where human lives are reduced to statistics in loss reports. As information emerges about ignored warnings and shortcuts in procedures, a wave of outcry has erupted from consumer advocacy groups, pilot associations, and families of the victims. They are not just demanding transparency, they are calling for a truly independent investigation, entirely detached from any political or commercial influence. Because if previous probes by agencies like the FAA or DGCA were once accused of turning a blind eye under pressure from governments and corporations, then this time justice can no longer be delayed. Several seasoned aviation experts have gone so far as to propose the temporary grounding of all Boeing 787-8 aircraft operating in Asia, pending an official conclusion from international technical authorities. It would be grossly irresponsible to continue flying aircraft that haven't been thoroughly revalidated, stated a former European air safety inspector. However, the proposal was swiftly met with fierce resistance from airline operators, who argue such action would paralyze flight networks and cost billions of dollars in daily losses. But the real question is not how much revenue would be lost, it's how much a human life is worth. Silence or action? While Boeing has yet to issue a formal apology and Air India continues to issue evasive statements about actively cooperating with authorities, millions of consumers around the world are watching every move with mounting anger. Because they understand that if the truth is buried again, just as it was with the 737 MAX, there will be no airline, no regulatory body left with enough credibility to protect them in the future. This is no longer just about technical errors. It's no longer about maintenance schedules or software glitches. It is about the ethics of aviation. It is about the line between fit to fly and should we fly at all. And if those entrusted with the fate of millions of passengers each day continue to stay silent in the face of catastrophe, then perhaps it is time for the world to speak on their behalf. Are there still unrevealed truths hidden within the video? What was initially dismissed as a personal complaint about faulty cabin air conditioning and flickering lights has now become a pivotal piece in a global investigation. This clip doesn't merely expose overlooked technical anomalies. It forces both Boeing and Air India to confront questions they've avoided for years. A recording of less than 3 minutes, captured from seat 25A by an ordinary passenger, is now ripping through every carefully constructed layer of denial. It's no longer a solitary grievance, no longer an overlooked detail. It has become living evidence, challenging the integrity of the entire aviation safety and oversight system. It has outraged the public. It has placed investigators on high alert. And more importantly, it has left Boeing and Air India with nowhere left to hide behind carefully worded press releases. The truth didn't emerge from press conferences or technical briefings. It was quietly revealed through the lens of someone seated among the passengers, witnessing firsthand a system quietly unraveling from within. The core question is no longer, how did the plane crash? But rather, how many warning signs were ignored, and who made the choice to look away?